Now, I am sure that at some point in your life, you have gotten upset over something that was never technically promised to you, such as someone not texting back fast enough, or maybe even a friend who didn't notice that you were off that day, or even life just not going the way that you expected it to, whatever expecting it to even means. A lot of the times, in fact, most of the time, we are often not reacting to reality. We're reacting to expectations, the quiet, invisible ones, the ones which we never really said out loud. We just kind of assume that they would happen and exist. And then they don't, and then we suffer because of that. It is not that wanting things is bad. It is not that hoping people show up or life goes a certain way is some sort of huge moral flaw. Instead, it's just that we confuse the idea of hope with the idea of entitlement. We turn preferences into guarantees, and when the world doesn't play along with, our little facades and the little scripts that we've written in our heads, we take it personally, even when no one else has ever seen that script. And maybe that is the thing that stings the most. The fact that you think they'd understand you. You'd think that you'd be further along by now, and you think that good intentions were enough to keep things afloat. However, none of it was promised, and none of it was guaranteed. The realization that life doesn't owe you the world and the version of the life that you imagine is one of the harshest things that you have to come to terms with. Instead, life owes you absolutely nothing. And that doesn't make life cruel. Instead, that just makes it real and open to any form of interpretation that you would like. So the shift in mindset that you need is that you have to stop expecting and start accepting. It sounds passive, it sounds like giving up, but it isn't. Instead, it's actually the beginning of your real power and your real potential. Because when you drop that expectation that people should act a certain way around you and that life should look a certain way, you finally meet life as it is. Not as you hoped it to ever be, not as you wished it would be. Instead, how it actually realistically is. And the only place that anything real ever happens is that place, in that life that you understand and you comprehend as true. It's here and it's now. Think about how much of your mental energy goes into resentment and goes into things that never matched up with your fantasy. You're not upset with your job. All you're upset with is the one that you envisioned, or is that you're not in the one that you envisioned at 22 years old. You're not upset with your friend or anything. Instead, you're just upset that they're not the exact same as that version of them that you built in your own mind. You're not even upset with yourself. Instead, you're upset with that gap between you and that fake perfect timeline that you created years ago. And look, I do get it, and I'm an advocate for goals. We need goals. We need desires, and we need motivations to work towards. But this isn't about becoming numb and floating through life without caring. It's about distinguishing between what we want and what we demand. It's about letting go of that deep, often hidden belief that the world should revolve exactly around the things that we personally perceive as fair, the things that we personally perceive that we need, the things that we assume that we require within our life, because the world never will revolve around that. And the sooner you accept this fact, the freer you will become. There's a quote which goes, "When you argue with reality, you lose, but only 100% of the time." That is the trap that expectations put you in. You're arguing with what already happened. It doesn't matter how good your debating skills are, your argument is, the past doesn't negotiate. The future entails everything that you allow it to become. So what do you do instead? You start to accept. You accept everything that happened. And that doesn't mean being okay with everything that happens. It means acknowledging what is. It means acknowledging everything around you. It means not sugarcoating anything that comes into your life, not spiraling about it or overthinking, simply naming it and acknowledging its existence. This happened yesterday. This happened today. This happened a year ago. Things like this. That is the beginning of mental clarity. And from clarity, you have the freedom to choose. Do I set a boundary here? Do I walk away? Do I communicate more clearly next time? None of that will happen if you're still stuck in your head, rewiring the past to fit your internal script. People will severely misunderstand you, no matter what you do. Things will fall through without, any apparent warning. And you will give your all and still come up short a lot of the time. That is not because you're cursed or unlucky. It's just life. It happens to everyone. It's not a specific thing just to you. And when you stop expecting it to be anything else, something weird happens. You start breathing a lot easier. You stop clenching onto things that should be gone. And you stop feeling like everything is a personal attack. You move, you just act. There's nothing more to it. You don't act to the fantasy, but instead to what is right in front of you. You get ghosted and you don't spiral. You just go, okay. Not in a defeated way, but in a self-respecting way. You stop making other people's behavior mean something about your worth. You stop needing every single moment to fulfill some silent checklist that you made up. And ironically, that is when things start to feel so much better. Not because they changed, but because you did. Acceptance isn't the idea of giving up. Instead, it's giving up illusions. And from that place, you can finally build something real. You can build real relationships. You can build real peace. And you can finally build real silence. Real resilience. These things they're the realistic things. Obviously, I keep saying real, but that is what your life should aim to be towards. Real peace and inner solitude, kind of, if you get my vibe. And it shouldn't be because everything is perfect. Instead, it should just be the fact that you're ready to present enough work with what is already here. You're finally ready to show yourself another side of the fake script that's in your mind. You're finally ready to accept the reality. So ask yourself this. What expectations are you carrying right now that no one agreed to? What scripts are you holding on to in your mind? And what scripts are you holding on to other people to silently and unconsciously morph what they never actually auditioned for? So I kind of messed that up. Basically, I'm just saying, what are those scripts, those plots that you have of other people, which they never signed up to be like that? I keep yapping. You do not have to lower your standards. All you have to ask is, what part of your life are you postponing because you're too busy waiting for it to look a certain way? You have to release your grip on these things that you cannot control. There's a difference between wanting and needing. There's a difference between desire and dependency. You can want success and understanding without depending on it to feel whole, without depending on it to fill that hole in your void. You have to stop expecting things and start accepting what is. Let the world off the hook and you might just feel yourself get lighter as well. That is where the peace begins. It's not in control or in surrender. It's not in scripting every single moment, but all it is in showing up open. You're showing up willing to see what unfolds, willing to work with what is real, not perfect, but simply real. So as I said 1,000 times, maybe I only said it a few times, whatever. Stop expecting things to come your way within life, because the second that you start accepting what actually is your life, you will get the things that your heart desires. Thank you.